A possible de-escalation in the Israel-Palestine conflict, a capsized boat claimed 58 lives, and a Florida book ban stirs controversy. This and more in today's episode of Hawk TV News.
Hello and welcome back to another week of Hawk TV News. I'm Gabby Nadrich.
And I'm Bryn Casey. At least 58 migrants, including a baby, have passed after their overloaded boat sank in rough seas off of southern Italy. The vessel reportedly broke apart while trying to land with about 150 people aboard near the coastal town of Crotone in the Calabria region. Many bodies have been recovered from the beach at a nearby seaside resort. Those on board were mainly from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Somalia, and Iran, according to Italian officials, and President Sergio Mattarella said many were fleeing very difficult conditions. One survivor was arrested on migrant trafficking charges, Custom Police said.
At least 9 tornadoes were reported across Kansas and Oklahoma due to massive winter storm moving east across the United States. Damages include destroyed homes, fallen power lines, and natural debris everywhere. At least 12 people were injured in the severe weather in Norman, Oklahoma, about 20 miles south of the state capital. No injuries were critical, and there have been no reported fatalities. The police are continuing to assess damages by using drones to fly over the city.
The FBI is currently on a search for 4 United States citizens who were kidnapped in Mexico City, Mexico. The Americans crossed into the northeastern state of Tamaulipas in a white minivan with North Carolina plates. An unidentified gunman shot at the passengers, herding them into another vehicle and fleeing at the scene. The State Department and the Department of Homeland Security are working with Mexican authorities on the case. The FBI are asking for the public's help in identifying who is at fault, offering a $50,000 reward as compensation.
The Jordanian government on Sunday announced that Israel and the Palestinians had agreed to de-escalate tensions shortly after a Palestinian gunman killed 2 Israelis in a shooting in the occupied West Bank. Sunday's shooting marked the latest violence in a wave of fighting that has killed dozens of Israelis and Palestinians over the past year. Jordan invited the sides with the aim of reducing tensions ahead of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. The army is looking for the attacker, and Israel's defense minister called for beefing up the military presence in the West Bank.
A Chick-fil-A restaurant in Pennsylvania warned that unaccompanied minors were no longer allowed to dine in their establishment after unruly children and teenagers continued to cause disruptions. While we love being a community restaurant and serving guests of all ages, some issues need to be addressed, the Facebook post explained before giving specific unacceptable behaviors. Employees had to deal with some children and teens engaged in a loud conversation with a lot of explicit language, cursed at the staff and mocked them, vandalized property, stole decor, and walked through the drive-through lanes, the post claimed. As a result, to dine in our restaurant, anyone under the age of 16 is required to be accompanied by an adult, the restaurant explained. Unaccompanied minors could still purchase food, but the brand said that they have to take it to go.
25-year-old Henry Min Hoang passed away after falling from a rocky bluff in Oregon State Park. The Californian was swept into the Pacific Ocean over the weekend, and his body had been recovered on Sunday. Hoang was hiking past a safety fence area in Cape Kiwanda State Natural Area known as the Punch Bowl to locals. The hiker slipped and fell 20 feet to the water's edge. He was knocked unconscious from the fall, being swept away into the ocean. The state park's website gives a stark warning to visitors to not climb beyond safety nets, saying people have died while doing so. Hoang's body was found by the U.S. Coast Guard at the bottom of a nearby cliff on the shoreline.
Tennessee's House of Representatives passed a state ban on drag performances last week. The bill classifies that male and female impersonators are banned from public property or any place where a minor may see them, invoking the state's obscenities laws. The bill, entitled NB 9, is now heading to the state's government, along with the proposal to ban transgender health care for minors in the state. The introduction of the bills have already sparked protests from those in the LGBTQ+ community, as the state said that they will never stop fighting for who they are.
Hawk TV's very own movie critic is back at it again with this week's another iteration of Let's Talk Films. Here's Ian Epstein with a review on the 2001 animated film Spirited Away.
Hello Monmouth, and welcome back to Let's Talk Films. Throughout the weeks, I've been discussing and breaking down a lot of live-action films, such as All Quiet on the Western Front and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So I thought I'd try something a little different for this week. For this week, I'd like to share with you one of my personal favorite animated films of the 21st century. And no, it's not Puss in Boots, although that movie is 100% Oscar worthy. No, this week's film is Studio Ghibli's Spirited Away. Studio Ghibli's Spirited Away is a 2001 animated masterpiece by legendary Japanese animator Hayao Miyazaki, whose other notable work includes Howl's Moving Castle and My Neighbor Totoro, which are both great animated works as well. The film follows Chihiro, a 10-year-old girl who wanders into a world ruled by gods, witches, and spirits, seeking help after her parents turn into pigs. Chihiro meets a boy named Haku, who Chihiro must rely on in order to save her parents and to return to her world. Chihiro must also work in a bathhouse owned by the evil witch Yubaba, who is intent on keeping all trespassers as captive workers, including Chihiro. Now, there are so many things that I love about Spirited Away. Its animation is absolutely stunning and gorgeous. This film truly shows the skillful animating expertise of Hayao Miyazaki. His fictional world feels so unique and refreshing. Every single character shown is captivating and extraordinary. The ambience of the music is so calming, but can also evoke so much emotion. If you can find the time to watch this on the big screen, I strongly recommend it. Like many foreign films, changes have to be made in order to appropriately fit with other audiences. According to IMDb, various dialogue was added to the English dub to explain settings, translate Japanese text, or traditions. For example, in the English dub, when Chihiro first sees the bathhouse, she says it's a bathhouse, which isn't present in the Japanese version of the film. Spirited Away is one of my favorite animated films, besides Puss in Boots, obviously, and would strongly recommend not only this movie, but Studio Ghibli's other films as well. Hayao Miyazaki's animation style is stunning, the music is serenading, and the voice acting, both in the Japanese and English dub, is amazing. Like I said before, I strongly recommend you watch Spirited Away, either in theaters or on any big screen. The experience is more magical than just watching it on your small phone or laptop. That's all the time I have for this review. My name is Ian Epstein. I thank you all for watching, and I will see you all very soon. Goodbye.
It has been 1 year since Russia invaded its neighbor Ukraine. In this time, Vladimir Putin and his army have only captured one regional capital, the city of Kherson. The 8-month attempt of seizing Ukraine's Black Sea coast ended in November, when Russians were forced to retreat back across the Dnipro River after being pushed out by Ukraine army. However, the residents of the city are now experiencing attacks almost daily from the opposing army base, less than a mile away. Russia seems to have a goal of controlling destruction of what it cannot control.
An Arizona woman who bought a desk from Goodwill to refurbish ended up stumbling onto a discovery that provided another family with a fascinating insight into 100 years of family history. Jenna Franzoy of Gilbert, Arizona recently purchased an antique secretary's desk for $20 at a Goodwill location and told Fox 10 Phoenix that a secret drawer fell out when she bought it from home and tipped it over. In the drawer, Franzoy found a stash of historical treasures that included letters, newspaper clippings, songs, sports articles, and farm articles dating back as far as 100 years that appeared to all belong to one family.
Book bans in Florida have educators claiming they are walking on eggshells. The de facto book bans is the latest series of Florida laws putting restrictions in the classroom. Teacher Dawn Falls had to make sense of the new memo. Cover up your books or remove them at once. The directive sent to the Manatee County School District on January 20th was in response to the new law, requiring all books to go through a formal approval process before being publicly available in classrooms. The history teacher had too many books to check, so he covered the shelves with taped up pieces of paper to conceal the contents deemed inappropriate. The law went into effect in July 2022. However, published training on the new law did not begin until January of this year. Books being banned include The Handmaid's Tale, The Color Purple, and other readings that deal with race and LGBTQ issues.
90s sitcom star Ben Savage announced he's running for Congress in California's 13th congressional district. The Boy Meets World actor's reasoning for running is to, in his own words, restore faith in the government by offering reasonable and compassionate solutions to current issues. He is running for the seat of Adam Schiff, who is looking to succeed Senator Dianne Feinstein as she is retiring at the end of her term. Savage submitted paperwork for the Federal Election Commission on January, encompassing the 30th District of West Hollywood, Burbank, and parts of Pasadena, California.
Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, announced on Monday that the state will no longer be doing business with Walgreens. The pharmaceutical company recently decided to not distribute abortion medication by mail. In 20 U.S. states, his denouncement of the pharmacy chain came after the company announced it will stop mail distribution of mifepristone and two drug companies commonly referred to as the abortion pill. Newsom tweeted Monday that California won't be doing business with Walgreens or any company that cowers to the extremists and puts women's lives at risk. We are done. Walgreens has not responded to requests for comments.
I now send it to my co-host, Gabby Nadrich, with a book synopsis of Daisy Jones and the Six.
Amazon has recently released the first 3 episodes of the on-screen adaptation of the novel Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And while I have not gotten around to watching the series, I have read the book, and let me just say it was impossible to put down. Daisy Jones and the Six is a captivating novel that follows the rise and fall of a fictional 1970s rock band. And the book is written in an unconventional style, with a series of interviews from the band members, producers, and others involved in the journey. The story is centered around the talented Daisy Jones, a young singer who begins to collaborate with the popular band known as the Six. Their partnership leads to the creation of some of the most iconic music of their era, but also sparks romantic tension and personal conflicts within the group. The book is expertly crafted with vivid descriptions that transport the reader back in time to the glamour and excess of the 70s music scene. The characters are complex and multifaceted, and the interview format allows the reader to see multiple perspectives on each situation. The character of Daisy Jones is one of the most compelling aspects of the novel, if not the most compelling, as she is complex and fascinating. She's beautiful, talented, and has a haunting backstory. Her charisma and star quality immediately captivate readers, and you can't help but root for her success. The members of the Six are equally fascinating. Each have their own backstory, personality, and role in the band. They have a deep bond with each other, but also have their own conflicts and struggles. The writing in the novel is excellent, as Reid captures the spirit of the era through her vivid descriptions of the music, fashion, and cultural scene. She also has a talent for creating characters that feel real and relatable. The dialogue is sharp and authentic, and the pacing of the story keeps the reader engaged from start to finish. Overall, Daisy Jones and the Six is an excellent book that is well worth reading. It's a compelling story, and it is beautifully written and expertly crafted. Really captures the essence of the rock and roll era and the relationships that exist within the music industry. That's all I have today on Daisy Jones and the Six. I'll get back to you when I watch the series, but I would highly recommend the book. Back to you guys. A Southwest Airlines flight to Florida from Cuba was forced to turn back after it collided with birds on Sunday. The collision caused the plane engines to catch fire, filling the cabin with smoke. The airline flight 2923 experienced fumes throughout the aircraft, causing emergency oxygen masks to deploy. The pilot's safety returned to Havana, Cuba, where the 147 passengers and 6 crew members evacuated on slides. No injuries were reported.
1 child and 2 adults were fatally shot in a possible home invasion outside Chicago on Sunday night. Officers in Bolingbrook, Illinois, responded to a call regarding a potential home invasion Sunday night. When police arrived at the scene, they discovered 3 adults and 1 child. The 4th person shot and only survivor was transferred to a local hospital for treatment. A suspect has been found and is currently being detained.
15-year-old Chloe Ricketts has become the youngest person to ever join the National Women's Soccer League. The high schooler signed a 3-year contract with the Washington Spirit, which was announced on Friday. This was possible through the league's new under-18 program. Ricketts will play on a full roster spot while residing with a parent or legal guardian until she turns 18. The athlete may not be traded or waived without adult consent. The sophomore student has been touring with the team as a non-roster player since January and will officially join the roster this season.
The Our Lady of Fatima Church in West London opened its doors to anyone needing a warm space and meal to families lacking heat in their homes as heating costs soar. Heating bills in Britain has nearly tripled this year. People have reported their houses being really cold with damp mold all over the walls from the outside. The Warm Bank at the church is a part of a program of local councils, charities, and businesses, providing help through libraries, bakeries, theaters, and of course, the London Church.
The Department of Environmental Conservation received a report of a massive snake along the side of the road on Long Island, New York. The Valentine's Day report brought officials to the side of the road in Medford, where they found a 14-foot dead snake curled up in a ball. The snake was located just a short drive west of the Department of Energy's Brookhaven National Laboratory. The agency has since appropriately removed and properly disposed of the reticulated python.
With love reality shows being all the rave, Netflix has released Perfect Match. Here's Layla Mehmetovic with a rundown.
Hello everyone, my name is Layla Mehmetovic and welcome to my Perfect Match rundown. If you are unfamiliar with the Netflix show Perfect Match, the premise of the show is that a bunch of singles are put into a house with the hopes of finding their perfect match. Except things are a little different, as everyone on the show has already previously been on Netflix reality TV. These singles specifically are looking for love, as they all say it gets harder with the more fame you gain. These singles have to be coupled up by the end of the night or else they are sent home. There are also challenges throughout the show that couples could win to not only earn a private date, but set up players in a current match on dates with random singles of their choosing. Prepare for a lot of spoilers and get ready to hear us dissect some of the most controversial moments. There are 22 cast members in total, and I will list them off by TV show name. From Too Hot to Handle, we have Francesca from season 1, Chase from season 2, Georgia and Izzy from season 3, and Chloe from season 1. From The Circle, we have Chloe, Savannah, and Mitchell from season 2, Joey from season 1, Nick from season 3, and Inez Tazi from The Circle France Edition season 1. From The Mole, we have Dom from season 6 and Will from season 1. From Sexy Beast season 1, we have Carousel Snow, and from Selling Tampa season 1, we have Anne-Sophie and Connie Reeves. From Marry Me or Move On season 1, we have Zay Wilson. From Love is Blind season 1, we have Damian Powers, Diamond and Elsie as well. From season 2, we have Shane, and from season 3, we have Bartiz. Lastly, from 20-somethings Austin, we have Abby Humphries. In episode 1, the singles enter the house, and there are 5 couples by the end of the night. Joey and Carousel, Dom and Francesca, Inez and Shane, Anne-Sophie and Zay, and Savannah and Nick. By episode 3, Francesca starts to feel that Dom doesn't show her enough affection and was upset that their first kiss was during a forced kissing challenge instead of him making the move on his own. As a result, there were some conflicting feelings going on in Francesca's mind about Dom, which is important context for future drama. In episode 4, a new single, Georgia, enters the villa. By the end of the night, Savannah and Francesca begin to beef it out over Dom. The premise of the argument was that Francesca was upset with Savannah because Savannah was trying to talk to Dom, even though Dom and Francesca are coupled up. A lot of fans have mixed feelings about this interaction between the two. But isn't this the point of every reality show? Francesca was brought onto a podcast post-airing of the show to explain her side of the story, saying that Savannah is quote-unquote irrelevant and only doing this to get back at Francesca since Savannah had a boyfriend the entire time while filming. Savannah then went on live on TikTok saying, "Honey, aren't we on the same show? If you think I'm irrelevant, you are really just talking about the other cast members and yourself." These two, as a result, continue to bicker and throw shade throughout the rest of the show. Moreover, in episode 4, Dom and Francesca win the challenge, giving them the opportunity to send a new single into the villa. Back to episode 2, Francesca still feels weird about hers and Dom's relationship as he hasn't made any moves. Because of this, Francesca brings in Damian Powers, whom she had past relations with prior to the show, to go on a date with while Dom was in the room in front of her. Fans of Damian and Francesca speculate if this was a PR move to explain the reunion of Love is Blind scandal, considering they both have the same PR manager. In episode 5, Dom ends up coupling up with another single, Georgia, by the end of the night, which ticks Francesca off. Throughout the next couple of episodes, her and Carousel work together to win challenges and purposely set Dom and Georgia up on dates so that they can bring the couple up. And on a brighter note, by the end of the night, Joey asks Carousel to be his girlfriend, and she says yes. In episode 6, Chloe and Shane are happily paired up. That is until Mitchell is brought into the house to go on a date with Chloe in episode 7, whom he had past relations with prior to the show and dated for 2 years. Chloe automatically leaves Shane for her ex, Mitchell, and Shane is devastated. To make matters worse, when Mitchell and Chloe got to their room, Mitchell grabbed Chloe and jumped with her onto the patio infinity pool. Their room was about a story high and Shane was right below it. All of the water from the pool splashed on Shane. He said this was quote-unquote more embarrassing than getting left at the altar on Love is Blind. In episode 8, Mitchell tells Chloe that he is not looking for a relationship at the moment. Then why are you on the show? Chloe is now extremely upset that she wasted her potential with Shane over Mitchell. And by the end of the night, Dom asks Georgia to be his girlfriend, and she says yes. By episode 9, Chloe sends herself on a date with Shane after winning the challenge. In response, Mitchell tries to shoot his shot with Georgia, but she turns him down for Dom since they are in an established relationship at this point. Mitchell ends up leaving the house. By episode 11, every single from the house is brought in to test the 6 remaining couples. The final 6 couples at this moment are Nick and LC, Shane and Chloe, Joey and Carousel, Abby and Bartise, Francesca and Damien, and Dom and Georgia. By the end of the night, only 4 couples survive. Damien and Francesca both left the house after Damien asked her to be his girlfriend, and she says no. Meanwhile, Bartise and Abby have a dramatic falling out after Bartise sociopathically couples up with Izzy. The final 5 couples by the end of the episode are Dom and Georgia, Izzy and Bartise, Joey and Carousel, Chloe and Shane, and Nick and LC. Dom and Georgia end up winning the show. However, Joey asks Carousel to marry him, which many fans believe to be a PR stunt, especially because since the show, every couple has broken up. There are also speculations Georgia cheated on Dom with Harry Jowsey from Netflix's Too Hot to Handle Season 1 after doing a broadcast explaining her experience on the show. Well, that's all we have, and thank you everyone for listening to Hawk TV's Perfect Match Rundown. My name is Layla Medovic. Now let's get back to the desk.
9 people were trampled in Rochester, New York, Sunday at rapper Glowzilla's concert. The riot began after gunshots were fired inside Rochester's Main Street Armory. There was no evidence to confirm the shooting occurred inside the event. However, injuries are seen to be a result of the threatful noise. A total of 9 people were trampled, leaving 6 with injuries, 2 in critical condition, and unfortunately, 1 death.
Was 1999 long enough ago to be considered historical? According to American Girl, gone are the days of the Spice Girls' zigzag-parted hair and boy band crazes. Though 24 years have passed since then, some people are having a hard time acknowledging that the 90s are far from yesteryear. The classic doll line ignited discussion on Twitter Wednesday by sharing an image of their new duo of 90s historical dolls. One skater girl named Nikki and the other, her preppy twin named Isabel. Weren't the 90s just yesterday? As if, the American Girl page tweeted. Our new historical character twins, Isabel and Nikki, share girl power goals. The nostalgia-inducing doll duo, donning era-appropriate gear reminiscent of fashion seen in the teen flicks like Clueless, can also be purchased with adorable era-themed extras, including inflatable furniture, a Tamagotchi toy, a desk set complete with a chunky computer, a portable CD player, and more.
Tesla lowered prices for 2 of its electric cars this past week as the automotive company is trying to improve affordability. It is said by industry experts that the key to widespread acceptance of electrical vehicles is to allow more cost-efficient vehicles as the United States tries to loosen its dependency on fossil fuels, which includes gas-powered cars. Electric charging stations are rapidly increasing nationwide to encourage consumers to buy electric. However, it seems price ultimately decides if the vehicles are financially within middle-class reach.
Fatalities were reported earlier today after shots were fired in a church in Hamburg, Germany. Authorities said several people were injured, some fatally, in a shooting at a church in one of Germany's biggest cities, but they did not provide additional details. Authorities initially tweeted that there was a large police response in the city's Alsterdorf district and that officials were still working at the scene. As of right now, there is no indication on if it was a target attack or not. Alsterdorf is about 7 miles from downtown Hamburg.
New Jersey lobbyists shelled out a whopping $95 million to influence lawmakers in the governor's office last year, according to a new report by the State Election Law Enforcement Commission. The top 3 spenders were energy company PSENG, the American Civil Liberties Union of New Jersey, and the New Jersey Realtors Fund. Despite the large amount of money, it is less than the past 2 years, so it could be a sign that lobbying could be returning to pre-COVID numbers.
We now send you to Mairead Spellisey with an update on Monmouth sports.
Last Thursday, March 2nd, the women's basketball team faced Stony Brook in an intense game. It was down to the wire, and the Hawks fought until the very last second, when Bree Tinsley made a basket in the last 5.8 seconds to pull ahead and win 72-71. Levin Marsicano and Lucy Thomas led the Hawks with 14 points each. Monmouth faces the 10th seed tonight the College of Charleston, to start the first game of the CAA tournament. March 3rd, the men's basketball team faced Hampton in the first game of the CAA tournament and had an outstanding win, 100-64. Freshman Jack Collins led the team with a career high of 32. However, their season unfortunately came to an end after losing 45-64 in the second game of the CAA tournament against Drexel. The baseball team started just last month and they are already 5-4. Their most recent game was Sunday, March 5th against Merrimack, which was their third win against Merrimack in a row. Their next game is tomorrow, March 10th at UNC Wilmington. Women's lacrosse just faced Johns Hopkins in the beginning of this week and suffered a tough 6-20 loss. Despite the loss, Carolyn Brennan led the team with 2 goals, and Shannon Feely matched her career high with 7 ground balls against Johns Hopkins. That does it for this week's Monmouth Hawks update. Be sure to check out monmouthhawks.com for updates on your fellow Hawks.
That's going to do it for this week's episode of Hawk TV News. I'm Gabby Nadrich.
And I'm Bryn Casey. Have a great spring break, everybody, and make sure to tune into Hawk TV's YouTube channel, Hawk TV 12, for your favorite shows. Have a good night.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score.
So I'm pre-approved.
You were like, yes! Sorry. Color coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced house hunting. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Or maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
Touchdown! Did you see that? Whoa, we scored? Yeah, we scored going to the playoffs. I can't believe I missed that.
Every time I'm buzzed, I spend too much time on my phone.
I should take your phone away.
No. I'll call for a ride.
Wait, why does my face look like that?
There was a time in my life where I was extremely homesick. I decided that I needed a pet. When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. He jumped up and kissed me and like jumped right into my arms. I immediately went up to the volunteers at the shelter and said, I want him, like he's gotta come home with me. Now anything but lonely. Every day with Turtle is a perfect day and keeps me company when I'm doing schoolwork.